Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to 28 Days of Science Fiction. This is day 19, shelf 19, and it basically comprises of two I guess you would say, smaller but specialty science fiction publishers, and two great publishers of science fiction. And the first one is the NESFA Press, Northeast Science Fiction Association Press, and I only have a fraction of their books. Um the Essential A.E. Van Vogt, called Transfinite, and this is a selection of his short stories, edited by Joe Rico and Rick Katz, published in 2003, and it's got a fabulous artwork. I believe it's for the new sort of the Black Destroyer artwork that's on there. Yeah, the first story. It's got an introduction by Hal Clement in it as well, and also, two introductions, Joe Rico as well, and an afterword by Rick Katz. And it runs in at just under 600 pages. There are, I haven't counted, but it looks like maybe 20 stories thereabouts in there. So it's just a selection of A.E. Van Vogt. Now we got the complete, basically complete science fiction of Cordwainer Smith, which was, I forget that's a pseudonym, and will they tell me here? Of Dr. Paul Linebarger, and this is his complete short fiction before any of the fix-up are written into novel forms. And this was published by NESFA Press in 1993, and it's got all the short stories in of his. Scanners, the big one is Scanners Live in Vain. Most people are aware. A very good writer, science fiction writer. And then they've also put out the full novel of North Australia, basically it is, by Cordwainer Smith. And it's a wonderful jacket art on there. And this was published in originally in 1975, it says here. Dust jacket art is by John Berkeley. And this was published in 1994. And an introduction by Alan Elms. Now, we go to the next publisher that's on this shelf, and it's called Hafner Press. It's Stephen Hafner, I think it is put out, and what he does is he'll put out the complete works of somebody, and he puts out limited editions as well as regular trade editions, but a lot of them are sold out. He's put out the complete Lee Brackett, and this is the only volume that I have that is still sort of possible to buy. Shadrach the Last, Farewell to Mars, introduction by Anne McCaffrey. And it's he puts out big books, quite well made. Nice end papers with a facsimile signature of Lee Brackett, and it's the same on the back. Now, I believe there's 4 or 5 volumes to the Lee Brackett edition. There's one that's sort of combines her stories and the ones that they wrote together. She wrote together with her husband Edmund Hamilton. But you can see here, the trade edition. This was $40 US when it came out, and the limited edition was £150. And usually the limited editions include extra stuff. It's slipcase a lot of times, but there's sometimes a little sort of chapbook with it, and usually signed by the author if the author was still alive at the time. Another large series they did, or author they did, was Jack Williamson. This is the collected stories of Jack Williamson, and this is volume 1. It's done chronologically. Oh, how I wish they would do Clifford Simak this way. And the foreword is by Hal Clement in this, and it was published in 1999. Jack Williamson died in 1998 at the age, or no, wait a minute, or 2006. Sorry, he was 98 in 2006 because he was born in 1908. And this is a drawing of him from Science Fiction Wonder Stories in 1929. So they reprinted, or reprinted that for the frontispiece. And in total, there are 10 or 11. There's 8 volumes in this. I've got the first 4, which we'll see. This was, as I say, this is 1999. And the end papers are just covers of the magazines that he appeared in front and back. And sort of a ghosting over. A very simple book design, but works. It does work. In each volume, this one is over 500 pages. And it's, as I say, chronologically. That was called The Metal Man and Other Stories. Wolves of Darkness, the collected stories of Jack Williamson, Volume 2. Same deal. Continues on chronologically. And again, end papers with the magazines. Also 1999. This one has a foreword by Harlan Ellison. And yeah, it just continues on with all the stories. I've read quite a bit of Jack Williamson, but definitely not all of Jack Williamson. And it would be nice to have the other volumes, but volume 5, 6, 7, and 8, and I've got one other volume, so I think there's 10, maybe 11 in total. This is The Wizard's Isle, volume 3. And this was published in 2000. And this has a foreword by Ray Bradbury in it. And it just continues on with the stories in chronological order. Now we got Spider Island, volume 4. That's the last volume that I have of the short stories, the collected short stories. And it has a foreword by Edward Bryant. And this is published in 2002. And this was a photo that was in the 1937 issue of the author and journalist of Jack Williamson. So he would have been 28, 29 when that was taken. And this one only goes up to, I think, it doesn't go up that far. We are still well into the 40s, I think, with this one, because it's the Legion of Time is in here. Well, actually, 1937. So yeah, so it's barely up to 1940 in the first 4 volumes, which is great for me. But I would love to have the rest of his material. And this is one of the other supplementary volumes, The Worlds of Jack Williamson, 1908, a centenary tribute to him. So it was 100 years from his date of birth that this was put out, and it's got a foreword by Frederick Pohl, introduction by James Gunn, and Stephen Hafner is the editor and the publisher. And there is a picture of him himself. And what does this have? It says, celebrates the 100th birthday of one of the grand masters of science fiction, Jack Williamson. Passed away in 2006 at the age of 98. Uh, Assembled in this centenary tribute are several unpublished stories: The Moonbird, The Forbidden Window, The Golden Glass, and a film treatment from the 1957 The Planets Are Calling. Also included are several classics in the Williamson canon, such as the original novella length version of Darker Than You Think, minus sign an unreprinted CT story of antimatter and terraforming, along with Tale of the First Use of Psionics. And that's a big one. That's about 700 pages. Now we return to Nesfa Press with selected short stories of Eric Frank Russell. Major Ingredients, it's called. This Nesfa Press again, as I said, 2000. This was put out. Introduction by Jack L. Chalker. Afterward, Mike Resnick. But then there's an editor's introduction by Rick Katz. The Dust Jacket illustration is by Bob Eggleton. And that's that one there. And it's a biggie, but it is only selected. It's 700 pages long, and it covers basically most of his career as a writer. Now he wrote. I've never read everything by him. I've read a lot by him, and he writes sort of. He gets across some of his ideas through humor. But also, I like him because it's not, rich people sort of in it, or scientists all the times. It's just the regular Joe on the street. A lot of times are there characters in his stories. So then we've got the second volume that they did, and it's a selected novels called Entities. And I think that's all they've put out, actually. It has Wasp, Sentinels from Space, Next of Kin, Call Him Dead, and Sinister Barrier, which is probably the biggest or his biggest novel, I would say. And this was published in 2001. Again, introduction by Jack Chalker, editor's introduction by Rick Katz, and jacket illustration by Bob Eggleton. Now, we've got something similar here with William 10. The Complete Science Fiction of William 10, Volume 1. It's Nesfa Press again. And this was published in 2001. And it's got an introduction by Connie Willis, edited by James A. Mann and Mary C. Tabasco. Again, a writer that I do now have his complete story, so it'll be fabulous to read through everything of his. I remember reading stories, and he's one of the few, I think, really sort of older science fiction writers that use satire to its full effect in science fiction. And this is, as I say, this is Volume 1. And Volume 2 is Here Comes Civilization. The glare is always difficult on these. And these aren't my proper dust jacket protectors on here either. They're not put on well. But I just don't have any to change them. They've been sitting in boxes for a long time. 2001. Published Nesfa Press. Introduction, Robert Silverberg. And another sort of and afterward by George Zabrowski, edited by James A. Mann and Mary C. Tabasco. And it just continues on with his stories. And well, yeah, here it says 10 has been considered one of the major satirists in the field. Science Fiction Encyclopedia calls him one of the genre's very few genuinely inclusive writers of short fiction. And then goes on to a quote from Theodore Sturgeon. But yeah, so Nesfa Press, fabulous press. We got two more here. We got the complete short fiction of C.M. Kornbluth. Again, I need to get new dust jacket protectors on because these have been put on badly, and it's going to take a while to take the warp out of the jackets. This is published by Nesfa Press again, edited by Timothy B. Setsu, and published in 1997, I guess. That's weird. It doesn't have the copyright page on the back side, but I believe, yeah, it's 1997 or 1998. It's got editor's introduction, and it's called Zero by Frederick Pohl. I think it's about C.M. Kornbluth. Now this is, it says it contains all the short fiction, science fiction written solely by Cyril M. Kornbluth. Yeah, so it's his own stuff, not the co-written stuff, but like with Frederick Pohl and whatnot. Again, this will be a fun read through. A lot of these, as I say, had been sitting inaccessible for years, so it's nice to have them on the shelf. And at some point, I will get the urge and go through these volumes. Now, the last book again is Hafner. And this is one, I think, of 3 volumes of Henry Kuttner's. This is volume 2, The Early Kuttner, The Watcher at the Tower. I think there's 3 volumes in this. And this is foreword by Robert A. Maddle, introduction by Dr. Garen G. Roberts, and edited by Stephen Hafner, the publisher. 2016 this was published, and I think they do them all in chronological order, I believe, and this is, as I say, volume 2. And Henry Kuttner lived from 1915 and died in 1958 at a fairly youngish age. So that's volume 2, and that's Hafner Press again. So Hafner Press and Nesfa Press, the Northeast Science Fiction Association Press, are 2 fabulous publishers. There's many more out there, but these are 2 that I have on the shelf, and there might be a few more on the next shelf as well. But that's it for this shelf, and I can't tell too much more about these because these are books that I have not barely, dipped into. And when I say dipped into, I haven't dipped into these volumes, but the authors, and because obviously the complete fiction of an author, and there's not too many that I've read everything by. And until these volumes come out, it would be almost impossible to read the complete fiction of many of these authors. Or very difficult anyway. Thank you, BookTube. We'll see you next time.